Welcome to Human Design Playtime, the show that discusses the highest potential and the lowest shadows of ourselves and our playmates. We use ourselves as examples and take some bold liberties to discuss public figures, even the celebrities we love to hate. Bring your open mind and a sense of humor. Who knows? We may be talking about you.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Human Design Playtime.
Hey there, I'm Janet Sullivan. I'm a 2-5 ego manifestor, otherwise known as a willful initiator in BG5 Business School. And this is my friend Tammy.
Yeah, I'm Tammy Ebright. I am a 4-6 manifesting generator or express builder in the business sense. And we're excited to be here with you today.
What would be like a little summary of what is human design for the new people?
So, human design is an awareness tool that maps out our energetic makeup. No two people are built exactly the same. Even twins end up being a little different because there's this thing called nature versus nurture. People are, we have our own experiences. So that's our nurture part, where the nature is anywhere in our charts kind of behind us, anywhere that it's colored in, the brown, the yellow, the red, anywhere that it's colored in, that's where we have more consistent access to our energetic makeup. And then anywhere that we're white or undefined in our chart, that's where we tend to take on the energy of other people. So surrounding ourselves with the right people is very important. And I feel like human design really helps to show why.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. How about you, Janet? What is human design like in your words?
Let's see. I think of human design as a way to explain somebody's energy. That's very general, but how the energy works outside the body, which I find fascinating. In other traditions, they call it aura or external energy. And I find it interesting that there are 4 types in human design and 4 types in BG5. They're just used with different language. So you being a generator or a builder, having an energy that is outside your body, wide and open and enveloping and bringing experiences to you, and how we can treat generators differently from manifestors or initiators, that there are different ways to speak to, talk to, comprehend the different types. And then within each type, there are so many subcategories and different ways to experiment with making decisions for someone's personal chart. Like those twins you spoke about, like twins can be born several minutes apart, and they might have different charts. And they might have the same way of experimenting with making decisions as they grow, or they could be different. I find that stuff fascinating because it helps me almost like drop my weapons. Like, why am I fighting to be what I think my parents or my society or my friends or even myself, what I think I should be? Why don't I just drop it all and just try on this new outfit and see if it fits? Like, do these words describe me? Can I try this? I mean, it's been fascinating. I didn't learn my chart until I was, oh, am I going to give away my age? Until I was 50. I mean, I learned in my 40s, I didn't know what it meant. And it wasn't until I was 50 that I studied it and went, oh. And then it got me into, it explained why I did the career I did my whole life. And then I tried something new and it's taking off. It's fantastic. So, that wasn't very short, was it? Right? Ask Janet a question. You got 20 minutes? Okay. But that's what human design is to me. And I love working with clients because I treat them differently. I treat my daughter differently. I treat my family members differently, my clients. It's fun.
Mm. And you say differently, and you mean differently than you did before you were using the tool. Like now you have this knowledge of how they make decisions, and even how their energy is just different than yours. and you can kind of tailor it to make them more comfortable.
Yes. Make them more comfortable, irritate them a little less, and maybe have different, I change my expectations from the other people because that type doesn't do that
Mm-hmm.
or doesn't do that comfortably. And then understand myself of going, yeah, that makes sense why I behave that way. I
Yeah.
don't have to apologize for it, but I can inform people how it might go with me. And I can treat them a little bit differently. Like I would ask you more questions
More yes.
because, because of your type.
Yeah. Yes or no
Hey,
question.
Tammy, what do you think is what's your experience? What do you think is the important parts about human design? What does it mean to you? Like asking questions.
Mm-hmm. And with like types like mine, with the generators, you want to make sure that you're sprinkling in some yes or no questions so they can really connect with their sacral response. And do you want to talk about this today? Mm, yeah, okay. So the four different types, and I think that we did this last week too. We're leaving out the other type, the evaluator, the reflector. Reflector. We're talked a little bit about the projectors or advisors in the business terms, the manifester or initiator, the builders or the generators, but there's that one little secret, that one little 1% of the population. We left them out. We did not talk about them at all last week. So I don't want to go another week and not like talk a little bit about our evaluator friends because they're pretty special and they are really reflecting the health of the environments that they're in. They have no definition, so their charts are completely wide open, white, and so they're feeling things from everybody all the time, and I bet that that could be really exhausting.
I have a few reflector clients,
Mm-hmm.
and they are different. They're from a different system. They're still part of the human design and system, but we are that yang energy, that sun energy, and they are that lunar energy.
Mm-hmm.
And energy. It's really interesting. And the person who figured out that I was a manifester, she was a reflector watching me teach.
Mm-hmm.
And then she asked afterwards if she could read my chart. She goes, I've never seen that side of you. Because I always brought the peace because I was teaching Kundalini yoga and she saw a flash of my anger. And her eyes, she goes, can I read your chart after? And I didn't know what it meant, but whatever she said resonated. But reflectors are so neat. They're reflecting the health or not health of their community,
Mm-hmm.
of their city, of their building, of their apartment building, of their business. Is it working well? Is it not working well? The canary in a coal mine. Hey, is it okay and safe down here? Yes. No, get me out of here.
Yes, yes. I have a client that is a reflector evaluator, and he has such a beautiful energy. I just love working with him, and he's got one of his traits is the 58, which is this joyous vitality, and I can I feel that in him whenever he's talking about things. So it's cool. They have a cool presence for sure.
So I'm so glad you brought them up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Annie. The reflectors and the manifestors often feel left out. Like, hey, what about me? Because there's not as many of us.
Mhm. Yes. Us generators kind of are 70%-ish of the population. I think that my background is sales. I've been in different sales roles most of my life. And, you're taught to ask all these open-ended questions. But then when you learn that 70% of the population needs yes or no questions to connect to their decision-making strategy, you're like, huh, gosh, you weren't all right, you sales trading people.
You improve your original trainings. because you have the nuance. Now you know nuances.
Yes, yes. And I would also say that people like Janet and I, where we have, and at the top of, starting kind of at the top of our charts there, the top is the inspiration center. And then we have moving down conceptualization. And those two being undefined like that for us, also open-ended questions can be very challenging at different times where if it's not the right time, you ask me an open-ended question and I might be like, crickets, crickets, like looking around like, mm. But if you start with a question that's going to connect me to my sacral, where it starts to bring in all of my energy, then I'm more likely to be able to answer that. So something like, do you want to talk about such and such? And I'll be like, yeah, and then I think that really, like, it brings my body together to where I can pull in more of the past experiences and the knowledge that I have. I don't know how that works for you.
Well, with the open, there's my finger, going up to the second from the top, the open triangle, the upside down triangle, the open conceptualization center, over time, over a lifetime, I've learned I don't have to know the answer or even how to think about it. And I don't have to fake it either. And it's just, oh, it's just like a relief. Like, yeah, you know what? I don't know. And I'll let you know when I know, sure. But I don't know at the moment. And you keep asking me, and I'm not going to give you a different answer. Like, that's the manifester in me.
Mm.
And I've been trained to talk to my generator and builder friends of like, if I get yes or no answers from you guys, great. Like, but if there's a maybe, or I don't really have an answer from you guys, I'm going to back off and come back later and then ask later. And then you might have an answer. It's kind of neat. So here's a question for you, Tammy. Does now feel like a good time to talk about a very well-known public figure who happens to be a generator? Do
Mm.
you feel like talking about Dolly Parton now?
I would love to talk about Dolly. Let me change my background here so we can take a look at Dolly's chart. All right, so here is Dolly Parton from the human design perspective. And she has so much openness, kind of like a reflector would, but only that one trait coming off of her generative energy down to her drive and stamina. And that is the 360 trait that is about innovation.
She is an innovator,
Mm-hmm.
revolutionized her whole field. What did she, I don't even know how many songs she wrote, but it's something like in the thousands. Incredible.
Incredible. And she's also, so coming from the top, which is kind of hard to do here. I'm like, okay, so here, so her profile is a 60.4. That's where her sun or her core essence is. And so the 4 off of that, and then the 6 coming over here, the 50.6, that's where you get your profile. So the top 2 on each side, that is what makes up your profile or your incarnation cross. And inside that, she's a 4-6, meaning that she's an influencer role model. And I could see that. I could see that the 4s are typically pretty happy, positive. They bring this lightness, I think, a lot of times to the dealing. She always seems so authentic. When you hear her in interviews, like you can hear the leadership, and it's a very quiet authenticity is what I kind of see in her. Again, we don't know her personally, so we're just making some bold assumptions, as Janet would say, about her off of the science that we know how to read.
Right. We know Dolly Parton is not our client. We don't even really know her real birth time. We're going off of a time that we got from the interwebs, and this is the closest time we could find. So if this was her chart, this is what we would have to say about it. if this was her chart. So this is the closest. And she is a classic builder. And she has that open throat. The box up here, she has an open throat or open communication center, which leads to the widest possible range of communication, song, speech, reaching out. She has the widest possible range. I have fixed. So over here, I have a little brown box. I only have 3 boxes, 3 colors. Those are my 3, but mine is defined. So I'm going to speak a certain way. There's a certain Janet type of talk. There's a certain cadence to how I speak. I have some variety, but it's fixed. Dolly Parton is wide open. And I think she's a comedian. I think she is an incredible songwriter. I think she's a great actress. I respect that she keeps her private life so private, but I find it amazing that has a variety, and like she goes a huge range of the notes, huge range. Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say, I just kind of wonder with all of her openness. So at the top, again, starting at the top, this is where we can have a tendency to lose focus, and then moving down, the conceptualization, that triangle underneath the top, that is where we can sometimes become mentally defensive, and the communication action in the not self, we could be trying to be a star, or speaking out of turn. I don't really see any of that in her. The identity and direction, the not self could be always looking for the next thing. But, throughout the course of her life, she started in music, and she has, stayed that course, maybe veered a little bit with being in films and things like that. But that is very standard for celebrities to kind of have that range. But I wonder too, like, completely open in her willpower and her emotions, our emotional intelligence, being completely open there, like being in Hollywood and or Nashville, and with all the celebrities, and we've been hearing about a lot of the things that we didn't know were happening per se, are coming out in the public. But with all of this openness and feeling all of this from other people, and to have had such a long career, I just feel like she had to probably learn early on, what was her own energetic makeup and what she was taking in from other people, and then having some solid people supporting her along the way.
That's a good point. And what I know of her, which is of course not personal, like I didn't find out from having a conversation with Dolly Parton, although wouldn't that be a dream?
So cool. Yes.
But knowing that she keeps her old friend from childhood close
Mhm.
and travels with her and keeps her private life with her husband private. When I think of the 4, the friend or the opportunist, which doesn't sound like a good word. That's just a human design term. Relax, everybody. I'm not calling Dolly Parton an opportunist. Relax. It's she gets her opportunities through her friend groups, and it's her close friends and friends of friends. And I know that from the other 4s in my life. I have a lot of 4s in my chart, but I'm still a 2-5. And I have a big influence with strangers. My big impact is with strangers, but I have so much 4 in me, like almost the same quantity. Like I think I'm 1 off between the 4s and the 5s. So with Dolly's 4 profile, I see that, she has her core group of friends and support, and her family is so important. And I see her 6, which is, a 3 in the first part of your life, like trial and error and all that, becoming the role model, like her relationship with Miley Cyrus and other young singers, and also her literacy work. Like, I don't know when it was, if it was the 90s or the 80s. I don't remember when she did all that, but she's a great example for what she can do with her money, putting it back into communities.
Even think
Yeah.
about like the movie 9 to 5. Think about that as like a role model, like not taking that crap no more. It's like calling in change where change is needed. I think that the sixth line can really be that. And then I was noticing, like you, she has the 18 of like correction, correcting what needs to be changed.
Yes. And she also, like me, does not have a defined spleen or instinctual center.
Mm.
And it'll get turned on in different ways depending on who we're with, or if we're alone, or if we're with the right dog or cat or whoever's going to light it up. Go to a coffee shop. Um, that gate of correction. And this is how I explain it. Because ex-boyfriends have said this. They're like, that's what they say. Um, that- like I don't want to change something because I want to be nitpicky. I want to change something because it's the other side is so awesome. And that gate of correction connects to the joy of like, yeah, no, I want to get the whole stream going. Um, but it's something I have to be careful of so that I don't become overcritical with other people or even really with myself. So I don't really know how she feels about herself with her songwriting. Like I started writing music, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I would go over it and over it and over it and over it. It took me 2 years until I got into what I wanted, and I'm starting late in life. And Dolly's been doing this since she was young, but I'm so curious as to her process. Like if I ever got to meet her, I would ask her about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the other traits that she has of the 48 here, which is about depth. I feel like sometimes, like I think I've seen some interviews where, sometimes you might look at somebody that's beautiful and blonde and think that they don't really have any depth. But Dolly is here to be deep. And, I think that she channels that some through her music and the creativity, like her creativity and the emotional intelligence would be completely wide open to where she's just pulling it in from all angles. But I bet she could have either when she was younger been very fearful or completely fearless. My daughter also has a undefined survival instinct, so the chant over here. It's the little triangle there on the left. When she was younger, like she would have a lot of fears, but now I would say she's more fearless as she's stepping into that. Now you also have it undefined. Have you found times in your life where you have been, either very fearful or completely fearless?
Hmm. I think I'm cautious.
Mhm.
I am a risk taker, but how do you say, I'm a cautious risk taker. And I know that feeling of being around someone with a defined spleen of like, uh, okay, you do it. Like, okay, good. Like, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's comfortable. It's very comfortable. I have a family member with a defined spleen, and that's where they live from. That's where they decide from, even. And it's very different.
Mm.
I've learned to step back and not expect them to be like me. This is like such a fascinating technology of learning.
It really is. It's
And you, Tammy, you have a not only, okay, can I just brag about Tammy for a second? So I have Tammy envy. And so Tammy, we talked last time about having integration channels, and some of them come out of there. Like you have, don't you have an integration channel that comes out of the spleen, right? Where are you? There you are.
yeah, I have full integration. So um, it looks like there just is maybe just a few strengths there, but I actually have six just in that little K looking area. There's six strengths there, and then the 48 to the 18, which is not integration, but those are my strengths though. there.
Does it, can you make snap decisions of like, this is safe, this is not safe? Quick yes, quick no? Or do you have to, see here, I'm doing an open-ended question with you. I could just stop right there.
I can make instant decisions. I have to be aware of who I'm around when I'm making the decisions. As if I'm around somebody that is emotionally defined, that I'm feeling their emotions, I may make decisions that are not aligned to myself because I'm trying to do some people pleasing.
Mhm.
And the other thing for me, I think that's really important is my initial instincts about people or situations are correct. Time
Mm.
is not my friend like it would be for you. Like you need time, right? When you meet people, maybe no, not
Mm-mm.
necessarily. And maybe that's just something inside the manual it talks about,
Mm.
they're not making spontaneous decisions if you have the undefined survival,
Oh,
where I can make spontaneous decisions. And when I feel somebody initially and I'm like, I don't really trust that person, that is my long-term truth. Now, the more that they're around me, I can be conditioned to allow them into my life. And then that leads to really big smackdowns.
I see what you're saying now, and I'm agreeing with it. I didn't understand the question before. Yes, now I understand what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, I still do make snap decisions about people, though. I
Yeah.
give them a wide berth and see if it changes, but
Mm.
I still listen to the first time.
Yes. That's something that I didn't learn early enough, but I had a situation where somebody I didn't trust for a long time. And then after David passed, I built a friendship with them because it gave me somebody to talk to. They were friends, so it gave me somebody to talk to. And it wasn't a romantic relationship, it was a friendship, but I didn't trust them when my husband was alive. And it gave me somebody to have a conversation with. And that was a huge smackdown. I have to go with my initial instincts about people. It's just not ever wrong.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Ooh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, 6 years, took 6 years for that relation to change to where I was trusting. And then it was just one of the most challenging times of my life, but it also brought me to human design. It was when I was in that depths of holy cow, what am I going to do now? Why is all this stuff happening? And is ignoring that initial intuition about somebody.
Ooh, Tammy, now I'm curious about, do you have the same flash, safe, not safe, caution or not, about places, about restaurants, about someone brings you a dish of food? Or do you have a quick thing of like, you're in another country and you're like, I shouldn't be here. I'm going to go here.
Hmm. I do get that. Yes. If I feel unsafe, in fact, I dated this person a little bit off and on, and I hadn't seen him for a while, and I went to his house, and we were hanging out, and I had noticed that there was like somebody else's ID on the counter, like another man, and I didn't really think anything about it at the time. It didn't really process. This is afterwards processing, but it's something that I took in. And then I'm talking to the guy, and then all of a sudden I was like, you need to get out of there. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, but I gotta go. And I left. And so I don't know for sure that it kept me from something, but in hindsight, like looking back and seeing, remembering that there was additional IDs there, and there apparently my body felt like there was somebody else in the house. I just got really freaked out all of a sudden and had to go.
Smart.
Yeah. And so I think that in my life, the times that I've had challenges is whenever I didn't listen to those little warnings.
I just recently finished a year-long living your design teaching course where I taught someone in another country on Zoom.
Mm.
And this person is a splenic projector or instinctive advisor. And she did not listen
Mm.
twice to two events. And something happened each time. And that, of course, it goes across the board for everybody. This is not like, oh, only people with a defined spleen can have this special talent, but it's where she happens to make her decisions and live from. So it was fascinating to watch her go through the whole year, the whole process. Some people take this course in a weekend. Some people take this course in just 2 months, but we stretched it out over a year. And oh my gosh, and that was exactly right for her to really learn how to honor her messages, her quiet messages that say, no, not here, no, no. And it's really easy for those open centers or the mind to, override the body's response. It's so neat. It was just it's a great year.
Mm. I
Yeah.
bet.
I love when people can, it's not like learn it on their own. We're learning it together, but some people need to take a lot of time to integrate it, like a lot of time.
Yes.
Dolly Parton, she doesn't have that area defined. She hardly has anything defined. If that's her, in fact, her chart, then she only has two channels. I mean, one channel and two functions.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Um,
I forgot to say something. Can I say one more thing? Yes,
yeah.
I should have said up top at the beginning of the hour, like we had talked about. And by the way, everybody, we're in the deep end of the pool. Tammy and I have been very involved in this material for years and years. And this is kind of like, if you don't know much about human design, it's like treading water to try and even grasp what we're talking about. We are talking for each other and for the people who have learned this for years, but we really want to encourage other people. If this seems interesting to you, we have some resources for you. You can reach out to us for private sessions. We can direct you to certain books or websites so you can learn on your own, because this is the deep end of the pool.
The deep end. Come on in to the
Come
deep
on
end.
in.
Let's go. Yeah, I think that it is very coming back to, listening to your survival instincts, your intuition is very important. One other little quick story is of ignoring it. I was out with my friends dancing. I know you like to dance, Janet. And somebody came up to me and said, would you like to dance? And I was like, no, thank you. Right. So that was my instincts. No, no, thank you. He's like, oh, come on, let me show you how to dance. And I was like, show me how to dance. Really? And so I danced with somebody that it was a. And long story short, he ended up dipping me and dropping me. And I got a concussion, had to spend like 6 weeks and, not a lot of screen time as a solo parent. Got a, it's a great story. People were really laughed at me when I told them I got dropped on my head dancing. But seriously, it comes back to like ignoring your instincts. It was a no. As a generator, is a hard pass. So, you have to start learning to listen to what you say. And sometimes that can be really hard when we're pressured by people, but definitely don't let some stranger pressure you into doing something that your body says,
That is a good story.
Yeah, fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times of integration survival.
And that's the thing. That's the whole part that I'm so jealous about Tammy, about you, is not that you're indestructible, because we're all mortal and human, but you integration channel people can withstand a lot more than some of the rest of us. Again, it doesn't mean you're untouchable, but you have a physical resilient strength, period. And I love my clients with some of these channels. I don't have any clients like you with all of the channels, all of the integration. Oh, it's like dreamy, like, But then I get to just enjoy being a manifester.
You
and
get to,
do my
yeah.
thing. I do my thing.
And you get to just, do it.
I just do it. I don't ask anybody. I just do it.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun.
It's fun. It's always fun chatting with you. And if anybody is interested in learning more, we do invite you to continue like listening to our podcast. Reach out to us if you would like to go deeper and learn a little bit more about the specifics for your design. We'd love to share that with you. And in the meantime, we will see you next time.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.